you. And the next word is Mr. Sarath DAVALA, dear Sarath, from India, and he's the vice chair of the Basic Income Earth Network, and also he's the founder of the Basic Income movement in India. Sarath, word is yours.
Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure and a privilege to be here with you, and thank you, organizers of this amazing summit, where I could get to meet people I could never have imagined I would meet. And thank you, Ali, for making all this possible. We are really running against time, so I will start. I've begun to think about how basic income is related to sustainability, and I realized that it is indeed connected to sustainability. I won't go into this. This is the very definition of what basic income is. But why are we discussing this suddenly? In the last 10 years, there is a profusion of literature that has come. There are many people, politicians, Silicon Valley honchos, academics, students, everybody is talking about a universal basic income. Why? Is there any particular reason that we are discussing? And this question has direct relation to the topic, the theme of this summit, towards the new world order. When you want to move towards a new world order, we should first ask, what has gone wrong with our old order? What went wrong? Where have we gone wrong in our march of these human civilizations, our successes and our failures? What have we done wrong? I would like to, we don't have much time to go into each of them, but I would like to just focus your attention on these four major crises that mankind is facing today. And I strongly believe that the more I think about it, the more I read about it, that we have reached a tipping point, almost. And we have to really take charge of our planet and ourselves in order to revive and get out of this crisis. The first is ecological crisis. We are on the brink, and there's an urgency to shift to a more sustainable and responsible living. I will not dwell too much on that because we all know. Then the crisis of work and welfare, where I will dwell a little more, and it is technology driven. And the third crisis is a social crisis, which is power and wealth is in the hands of very few, and there is a mass of precariat, people who are living on a very precarious ground and very precarious and unstable existence they are having. And the last, and probably the most important, is the moral crisis, which means the very meaning of our existence, the very meaning of our economy, and what economy is feeding into our individual lives, and what our individual lives are feeding into the economy, and what kind of a monster we are eventually creating, and what we have already created, and how that is related to the planet and its future. So first, there is no planet B. We all know, and we better take care of this planet. Now, what is the work and welfare crisis that we have? Today, we have reached a stage where we have a 21st reality of work and jobs, and a 20th century reality of taking care of people. There is no match between what is going on and the kind of welfare system that we have inherited from the past. And this mismatch is causing enormous stress to a large percentage of the population in the world. Now, if you look at what is the future shape of work and employment, just imagine. I think in this conference, there were a couple of sessions where this issue was discussed about what artificial intelligence is going to do. I mean, we have seen in the last century a discussion about automation. And there are a lot of people who are saying that, well, we went through that phase and we thought everything will come down, but it didn't. When you lose old jobs, you create new jobs. But, my dear friends, this is not going to be the situation in 21st century, because the new business models, the new human resource strategies, a lot of people are not required to do what needs to be done to run the economy. I think we have already discussed that in the banks, it's not just at the low-end jobs, even in the middle class, you find that the new models don't require too many people. Particularly, what is happening is what used to be a long-term contract, a job contract, employment contract, is slowly fading away. Very few companies are going to, it's only the public sector, the government, that is going to give you a kind of a job. But even governments are now subcontracting quite a lot of their services. There are a lot of things that they do. Now, this is a kind of a model for the future, in which case, majority of the population is going to be on temporary contracts or no contracts. That is the kind of gig economy that we are progressing towards. In some economies, many countries, the sectors that are growing need fewer people, which is the sectors that contribute a large chunk to the economy, they need fewer people. The sectors that are declining, like agriculture, in India, for example, agriculture employs about half the population, working population, and then it contributes only 15% to the GDP. So that kind of a relationship we are seeing. So what is ahead is a gig economy. Now, this is exactly what I said, that current welfare model is not geared to the problems of the 21st century jobs and people. And there is a mismatch. And the current model, in the past, if you remember, the post-Second World War model, when the industry was growing and there was a boom, that was the time unemployment, underemployment were an exceptions. 2% of people, or 5% of people, or 6% of people were unemployed. So the welfare system is geared to look after only that. But welfare system is not geared to look after 50% of people underemployed. Now that is the biggest challenge that we have. I think I will rush now because now the fundamental question is, who cares for you from your birth till your death? Now, quickly, have a look at it. There is the government, there's the market, there's the family, there's the community. Now, you can see that market is very cruel. If you are useful, it has a plan for you, but if you are not useful, it has no plan for you. Okay, government tries to balance and sees where it can work and where it cannot work. Finally, what is happening today, if market is throwing people out, if government is saying that I can no longer look after you, the burden falls on the family or the community. By community, I mean the community around you, which is supportive, or external NGOs. Okay, so this is the burden the families are no longer able to take. That is where it is collapsing.
Sarath, you can take your time, a few more minutes, no problem.
Yeah? Okay.
But 2 minutes? No, 2, 3, no problem. Don't look at
okay.
the screen.
Quickly, there are 4 important reports that have come recently. One is by World Economic Forum. The other is by ILO. Okay. And McKinsey and guys. Now, I'll just give a sense of this. In future, the drivers of change will be high-speed mobile internet, artificial intelligence, big... Okay. I must check this. 85% of companies surveyed by World Economic Forum will adopt newer technologies, which means it has implications for people they employ or people they don't employ. 59%, so you have all indications that show that a large portion of people today who have jobs will not have jobs in the next 10 years, okay? Now, similarly, something immediately, McKinsey report also says that demand for high-wage occupations will grow, demand for low and middle-wage occupations will decline, which means all that will be taken care of by the robots. Now, Andrew Yang gave a quick analysis of what went wrong in the United States and why they elected somebody like President Donald Trump. They said that the swing happened in few states where they lost 4 million jobs. So he is actually saying that this is going to be a big problem. Now, the last one, And in fact, if you're interested, you can go into all these reports. I just indicated, similarly, ILO report says something similar about the global trends that the 3/4 of the world working population is in trouble. And what is the moral crisis? And this is where I would like to relate this to the planet and environment and our existence. Now, what is the meaning of our life? This is the question we should ask. Is it consuming? Yesterday we heard somewhere, in the film you will see that capitalism has converted us from citizens to consumers. Now, even in your leisure, instead of sitting back and doing nothing, you go and consume more in Bali, or you do it somewhere else. So the point is that we are moving into a culture, because of the growth-centric economy, we are moving into a culture of more and more consumption and destroying ourselves and the planet. So that is the concern, that is it possible to defy this capitalist logic and lead a more meaningful and fulfilling life, which actually is not consuming more, but an austere existence can be more fulfilling. I will not go into these questions. If anybody is interested, Ali can share the thing. That we know what we have minimum wage, but do we know what is the maximum that we need to survive and have a fulfilling life? These are the questions. Unless we answer these questions, unless we back off on consumption and consumerism, I don't think we will also be beneficiaries of the basic income. So basic income, what it does is, when you have a basic income, it reduces the insecurity you have. And then you start thinking of a more fulfilling life, a more connected life. So I will not go into the social crisis, because if 2/3 of the population is going to be jobless or no jobs, this is the kind of crisis, political and social crisis, that you will face. But today we have this opportunity to do the course correction. We have 3 opportunities, but I'll quickly run through this one important quotation from Stephen Hawking, a well-known. He said, if machines produce everything we need, the outcome will depend on how things are distributed. Everyone can enjoy a life of luxurious leisure if the machine-produced wealth is shared. Or more people can end up miserably poor if the machine owners successfully lobby against wealth redistribution. So far, the trend seems to be toward the second option, with technology driving ever-increasing inequality. So, friends, I think there are opportunities. It's not a sad story at all. But basic income can be a foundation of this better world. And what is that better world? Better world is a caring world. It's a world where you care for the planet and care for one another. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarath.